Good morning, my dear students. Today, we are going to start a new chapter in economics, that is, money and credit. Children, money is a fascinating subject and full of curiosities. It is important to capture this element. Children, the history of money and how various forms are used at different times is an interesting story. And my purpose of teaching this chapter is to make you realize the social situation in which these forms are used. Children, modern forms of money are linked to the banking system. The present situation in India, where new forms of money are slowly spreading with computerization of the banking system, offers many opportunities to explore. Children, just think what would happen when the government declares that some of the currency note used by us would be made invalid and would be replaced by new currency. Children, in India, this happened during November 2016. Currency notes of rupees 500 and rupees 1000 was declared invalid. People were asked to surrender these notes to the bank by specific period and receive new 500 and 2000 rupee for an other currency note, which is known as demonetization. Once again, listen it very carefully, children. Demonetization means it is the process of abolishing the legal tender of the prevailing currency and removing it from circulation. Now, children, let's see what we are going to study in this chapter today. We will study about the concept of money, barter system, and old and new forms of money. Children, in modern forms of money, we are going to study about currency, deposit with the bank, and check, etc. Children, the use of money spans a very large part of our everyday life. Just look around you and you would easily be able to identify several transactions involving money in any single day. In many of these transactions, goods are being bought and sold with the use of money. In some of these transactions, services are being exchanged with money. For some, there might not be any actual transfer of money taking place now, but a promise to pay money later. But children, in the primitive age, need of people were very limited and people by themselves collected everything like food to eat and skin of animals and plants to wear, etc. And there was no need of exchange and money. With the growth of civilization, needs of people started increasing. People who were expert in producing some goods started taking it as a profession. They started collecting other goods that they need from other producers in exchange of the goods produced by them. This is how barter system started. A barter system is an old method of exchange. The system has been used for centuries and long before money was invented. People exchange services and goods for other services and goods in return. Now, limitations of barter. Children, barter exchange system also lacked a standard measure of value. In this system, collection of money or wealth or transfer of money was also very inconvenient. Transfer or money or value in the form of goods was very risky. In barter exchange, another problem which arose was in context to indivisible goods. Just take one example. If an individual possessed a horse and he wished to purchase a goat, then neither he could give one entire horse, nor he could divide the part of his horse in exchange of the goat. If such goods were divided, then these would lose their entire importance. Due to these limitations in barter exchange system, it was renounced and monetary exchange system was adopted. Children, once again, listen this very carefully. Limitations of barter system. First, need of double coincidence of wants. Double coincidence of wants means what a person desires to sell is exactly what the other wishes to buy. Then, lack of standard measure of value. Next, problem of divisibility and storing value. Problem of transferring value, and deferred payment was not possible. Now, problem of double coincidence of wants. Children, in the olden days when modern currency was not in use, people had to sell and buy each other's commodities. This was called the barter system. For instance, if a shoe manufacturer wants to buy wheat, he has to find a farmer who wants to buy his shoes in exchange for the wheat. Here, both the parties have to agree to sell and buy each other commodities, which we call it as a double coincidence of wants. In a barter system where goods are directly exchanged without the use of money, double coincidence of wants is an essential feature. Now, modern forms of money. Children, we have seen that money is something that can act as a medium of exchange in transactions. Children, before the introduction of coins, a variety of object was used as money. For example, since the very early ages, Indians used grains and cattle as money. Therefore, came the use of metallic coins such as gold, silver, copper coins, etc. A phase which continued well into the last century. Children, modern forms of money includes currency, paper notes and coins, and deposits with the banks. Children, unlike the things that were used as money earlier, modern currencies is not made of precious metal such as gold, silver and copper. And unlike grain and cattle, they are neither of everyday use. The modern currency is without any use of its own. Then children, why is it accepted as a medium of exchange? Children, currency is regarded to be one of the greatest invention of mankind, just like the invention of fire and wheel. Invention of currency has also contributed significantly in the development of mankind. Whatever payment we make in exchange of goods and services can be called as currency. We have accepted currency as a medium of exchange because the currency is authorized by the government of the country. In India, the Reserve Bank of India issues currency notes on behalf of the central government. As per Indian law, no other individual or organization is allowed to issue currency. Moreover, the law legalizes the use of rupee as a medium of payment that cannot be refused in settling transactions in India. No individual in India can legally refuse a payment made in rupees. Hence, the rupee is widely accepted as a medium of exchange. Now, deposits with the bank. Children, the other form in which people hold money is as deposits with the bank. At a point of time, people need only some currency for their day-to-day needs. For example, workers who receive their salary at the end of each month have extra cash at the beginning of the month. What do the people do with this extra cash? They deposit it with the bank by opening a bank account in their name. Banks accept the deposit and also pay an amount of interest on the deposits. In this way, people's money is safe with the bank and it earns an amount of interest. Children, people also have the provision to withdraw the money as and when they require. Since the deposit in the bank accounts can be withdrawn on demand, these deposits are called demand deposits. Children, demand deposits offer another interesting facility. It is this facility which lends to the essential characteristics of money, that of a medium of exchange. Children, you would have heard of payment being made by check instead of cash. A deposit in a bank offers the customer the facility of issuing checks. A check is a paper instructing the bank to pay a specific amount from the person's account to the person in whose name the check has been made. The money is transferred from one bank account to another bank account in a couple of days. The transaction is complete without any payment of cash. This is a safe mode of transforming money, avoiding the possibility of any theft. Thus, we see that demand deposits shares the essential feature of money. The facility of checks against demand deposits makes it possible to directly settle payments without the use of cash. Since demand deposits are accepted widely as a means of payment along with currency, they constitute money in the modern economy. Now children, loan activities of bank. Let us take the story of banks further. What do the banks do with the deposits which they accept from the public? This you can easily understand with the help of this photograph. There is an interesting mechanism at work here. Banks keep only a small proportion of their deposits as a cash with themselves. For example, banks in India these days hold about 15% of their deposits as a cash. This is kept as a provision to pay the depositors who might come to withdraw money from the bank on any given day. Since on any particular day, only some of its many depositors come to withdraw cash, the bank is able to manage with this cash. Bank use the major portion of the deposit to extend loans. There is a huge demand for loans for various economic activities. Bank make use of the deposits to meet the loan requirements of the people. In this way, banks mediate between those who have surplus funds, that is, the depositors, and those who are in need of these funds, that is, borrowers. Banks charge a higher interest rate on loans than what they offer on deposits. The difference between what is charged from the borrowers and what is paid to the depositor is their main source of income. Now we will see the two different credit situations. Children, a large number of transactions in our day-to-day activities involve credit in some form or the other. Credit or loan refers to an agreement in which the lender supplies the borrower with money, goods or services in return for the promise of future payment. Now let us see how credit works through the following two examples. In the first situation, Credit is used to meet the production expenses. When the production is complete, then it increases earning. Here, credit plays a vital and positive role. For example, Salim, a manufacturer, takes credit for his business. During the festival season, he receives large order from the traders to complete production on time. He asks the raw material supplier to supply raw material on credit. He also obtains a cash loan from the trader as advance payment for the goods to be supplied. At the end of the manufacturing cycle, Salim is able to deliver the order and made a good profit. And he repaid the money that he had borrowed. This helps to increase earning and therefore the person is better off than before. And in the second situation, credit pushes the borrower into the situation from where recovery is very painful. This happens mostly in the rural areas. For example, Sapna takes loan from the money lender to grow the groundnut, hoping that her harvest would help repay the loan. Midway through the season, the crop is hit by the pest and the crop fails. She is unable to repay the money lender and the debt grew over the year into a large amount. Next year, Swapna takes a fresh loan for the cultivation. It is a normal crop this year, but the earnings are not enough to cover the old loans. She is caught in a debt. She has to sell a part of the land to pay off the debt. In this situation, because of the crop failure, credit pushes Sapna into the debt trap. Her condition became worse than before. From both the examples, children, we see that in one situation, credit helps in increase the earning and therefore the condition of the person is better than before. And in the other situation, because of the crop failure, credit pushes the person into debt trap. Whether credit would be useful or not, it depends on the risk in the situation and whether there is some support in case of loss. Children, in rural areas, the main demand for credit is for crop production. Crop production involves considerable cost on seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, water, electricity, repair of equipment, etc. There is a minimum stretch of 3 to 4 months between the time when the farmers buy these inputs and when they sell the crop. Farmers usually take crop loan at the beginning of the season and repay the loan after harvest. Repayment of the loan is crucially dependent on the income from farming. That's all for today, children. Thank you and have a nice day.